Hey, I'm Jake, and today I'm drawing this new X-Wing, this wonky new X-Wing from the Star Wars movie. The X-Wing's great, the design for it, but this drawing turned out off. The perspective's weird. I'm going to see if I can fix it in Photoshop. And I'm also talking about landing the job. Every job that I've ever gotten is because of three important things. I'm going to talk about those three things today. All right, so today I'm drawing an X-wing fighter based on the new design from Star Wars, and I just love it. I love Star Wars, and I love what they're doing with it, and it's got me really excited. And I know this design's based off the Ralph McQuarrie original design for the X-wing, but they have updated it. It's a new design. It's not the design he did, and so I know when people say, "Well, it's actually an old design," it's not. It's a new design, and I love it. So I'm gonna draw it. What I want to talk about today, I actually got a question from Michael. He emailed me and he said, "Hey Jake, I was wondering if you had advice for getting a job with any big animation/art company. How did you get your early jobs and then with Marvel?" And so I thought that was a good question. It's a question I get a lot from different artists and people trying to break in to the art world and get work and things like that. So today I'm going to talk about getting work. How do you get work? How do you get jobs? And I want to say I've gotten all my jobs because of three things. I'm going to talk about those three things, what those three things are. The first thing is skill. Okay? I've gotten all my jobs, number one, because of skill. You have to be creating work on or above the level of the other artists at the studios that you want to get a job at. You know, the level that they're creating at, you have to be at that level, or getting up to that level, right? So what does that mean? That means mastering your craft. It means building a portfolio that matches the job you're applying for. Okay, so look at the job that you want and look at the people getting those jobs. Look at their work and then look at yours. Okay? Are you as good as them? You have to be honest with yourself. You have to look at your work and, you know, maybe this is almost as good, or this one drawing is as good as it, but this other needs work. So that's what you have to sort of give yourself an honest critique, or if you can't give yourself an honest critique, find someone who can give you an honest critique. And then think about the people who are hiring for the job, and what they have to choose between. So if they're able to get someone who's operating at this high level, this professional level, and someone who isn't, who are they going to choose? Who would you choose if you could have anyone? And so that's the key. You have to master your craft. You have to be able to do the job that you want. So number one is skill, and also you have to be creating a portfolio. Like I said, create a portfolio that matches the job you're applying for. And when I worked at Blue Sky, we would get portfolios all the time, and you'd be surprised at what people sent us. I didn't understand. So Blue Sky Studios makes animated films for families. Ice Age, Horton Hears a Who, the new Peanuts movie. What was it? The Rio films. Almost all of them have talking animals. Okay, so that's what we make. We would get portfolios of people with very obviously like muscular, violent, war dudes that were designed for a video game. We'd get a portfolio of all like 2D animation style. Okay, when when Blue Sky was making 3D animated films, so it just didn't make sense. So those portfolios that clearly showed the person didn't know what the studio did by the work that they were sending just got thrown in the pile. The portfolios that got reviewed and created, or interview people that ended up getting interviews, were people who had, if they wanted to do character design, they were doing characters that looked like something Blue Sky would want to a film we would want to make, whether it was based off of a personal project they were doing or it was other work they had gotten from other studios. It matched what we were doing. So if you want to get a job for an animation studio, you have to have a portfolio that matches that. Go look at all the art books, the art of books. There's a million of them out now, and flip through them, and you could see, oh, this artist works there, and this is the art they're creating. Okay, so that's what I need to do. If you want to get a job at a video game company, look at the games that they make and make a portfolio that matches that. If you want to do concept art for film, go look at the art of Guardians of the Galaxy, or look at the art of any of those Marvel movies, right? The art of Prometheus, the art of District 9. Those are all really cool books, by the way. And look at the art that they're creating, and you'll see for film it's a lot more. They'll do photo manipulation, or they'll do painting over CG models. And so create a portfolio that matches the studio you want to get a job at. And this would go for also if you don't want to get a job at an animation studio, if you want to get a job at a publisher, you want to do children's books, make sure your art fits what the publisher publishes. And so that's it. Got to have the skill, got to have a portfolio to match the job. Okay, that's number one, skill. Number two, connections. Okay. You've heard the phrase, it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, it's actually both. It's what you know and it's who you know. Okay. The people who are in a position to hire you actually need to know who you are. So that means, are you meeting them in person at trade shows, at comic conventions, at animation conventions, at film festivals, at gaming conventions? You have to touch base and you have to meet these people. You have to know who they are. If you're not in a position to do that, they have to know who you are some other way. So that means you know people who know them. Or you have created artwork that they have seen, whether it's online or it's somehow been put on their desk by someone else. You're not going to get a job offer by them searching out you, unless you're like a huge name, but that's because they already know who you are. These people aren't going to search you and find you randomly. You have to know them somehow. They have to know you somehow. Okay. Now, there's actually three types of connections. When you're thinking about connecting, there's three types of connections. There's executive, there's lateral, and there's base connections. And there might be more, but these are the three that I came up with. Okay, so executive. These are people above you. These are connections. These are people not necessarily at the boss level, right? But these are people who are either in a position to hire you, they have a job that needs done, and they need someone to do it. So this might be a producer or a production manager or something like that. Or these are people who are a mentor. There's someone ahead of you that's sort of doing what you want to do. And so sorry, I had to shut the door there. They're a mentor, they're ahead of you. There's someone you look up to, you're trying to learn from, whether you know them personally and trying to learn from them personally, or there's someone that you're watching online, or you're following their work. So these are people that you're watching. Okay, so that's executive level, and you've got to connect with those somehow, whether it's through email, whether it's through online interaction, or whether it's in person at conventions or conferences or things like that. Okay, lateral. This is the other kind of connection. Lateral. These are people with you. So executive is people above you. Lateral is people with you, and these are your peers. These are people who are doing what you're doing. They're your friends, they're your enemies, they're your rivals, they're your allies. These are people who are right there in the trenches with you, and you're learning from them, and they're learning from you. You're watching them, they're watching you, and what happens is they might get more work than they can handle, so they're going to pass your name along to the person hiring them. Or they might get a job offer that doesn't quite fit them, or someone might say, hey, I'm looking for a thing, and they're going to be able to pass that on to you. So you have to just be connected with the people on your level who are doing what you're doing. Okay. And then lastly, the third kind of connection is a base connection. And these, so if executive is people above you, lateral is people with you, there's also people behind you. And these are people who are looking up to you. Okay. Executive is who you're looking up to. Lateral is people you're looking at and who are looking at you, and base is people behind you looking up to you. So these are your fans. These might be students. These might be, they might fall in these other levels. But these are people who aren't quite at that level that you're at. They might become future peers. They might even become future bosses. And so you have to build and establish connections with these people. And you might do it through your artwork feeds online, right? You might you have to build a relationship with your fan base, whether you're, if you're on a level where you're able to teach people, you have to build a level with these people as well, because all these people are going to go off, they're going to do things, they know who you are, they know what you do, and you never know where a job might come from, where something might happen. A lot of times I get commissions from the base, right? They might be like, oh, I love Jake Parker's work, I really want him to draw an X-Wing for me, and so I'll draw an X-Wing for him, right? You never know where you're going to get a job. Okay, so connections. You have to be connected. What did we talk about? Skill. You have to have the skills. You have to be connected to the people who are in a position to hire you for the skills. And timing. That's the third one. Timing. Call it luck, call it karma, call it providence from God. This is the X factor of getting work. Okay. This is when the planets align and you end up being the right person in the right place at the right time. And you kind of have no control over this. Okay. You might be the right person and you might be in the right place, but you're a year behind. Or you might be in the right place and it might be the right time and everything's perfect, except you're the wrong person. The animation studio is hiring character designers and you happen to be an environment designer. And so don't get the job, okay? You can probably have you might have a little bit of control over this in that you are available, you can make yourself available, but really the job doesn't happen until it happens. People don't need you until they need you, okay? So when that happens, you have to be ready to go when the job is available. You have to have an open schedule. You have to be able to move if the job requires moving, whether that's across country, whether that means giving up another job to take this job. Basically, being the right person for the job means you need to be ready to take the job when it's offered. Okay, so let's talk about examples in my own life. Okay, so my first job that I got was for Fox Animation Studios in Phoenix. And here's the three things. I had the skill. I took a test for the job. And first off, I was able to take a test because I had a portfolio that showed I could draw and I could do the kind of stuff that they wanted to do. So I had the skill. I had the connections. There was my art teacher from high school had a former student who worked at Fox Animation, and he was able to put me in connection with that guy, and we were able to talk, and he was able to show me, here's what they're looking for, here's what you need to do, and I can get your portfolio right to the right people. And timing. I happened to live in a place at the right time where an animation studio was in the same city that I was living in, and they were hiring. So I could have been the right person for the job and I could have known this guy, but the studio closed 2 years later and that job wouldn't have been available. Or I could have been the right person for the job and I could have known this guy and the studio didn't open. It hadn't opened yet. So those are the three things kind of coming together and making it possible. Next, I got a job at Real Effects in Dallas, Texas. And here's an example of having the right skills. So I had the right skills, and they were able to contact me because they saw my work online. So my connection there was sort of this base connection where people were looking up to me, looking at what I was doing. And some of my peers that worked at the studio knew what I was doing. And they reached out to me and said, we are aware of who you are and what you're doing, and we'd like to offer you a job. And that was my connection there. And then the timing was, I was in a position at the job I was currently at, and I was in LA at the time, where some things were happening, and they missed a paycheck, and I was like, oh, do I want to work for this company anymore? And that's when the timing just was perfect for Real Effects to offer me a job. And I was like, yes, I'll take it. I'll move out to Dallas, move my family out there. Let's do it. Publishing. So I've been doing children's books. I've done graphic novels. I've done a lot of publishing stuff. And this is an example of I had the skills to be able to do it. I could illustrate well. I could draw a comic well. The connection factor was I needed an agent to really break into the publishing world to do children's books. And this agent ended up contacting me because she was aware of what I was doing. My connection there was she knew another artist that I worked with. So this lateral connection, me and this other artist who we knew each other, we were of each other, he told his agent, oh, you should talk to Jake. He'd be great to represent. And so that was my connection there. And then the timing was off at first. She connected with me. I had the skill, and she's like, let's do this. And I said, I am not ready to do this. I have a full-time job. I have other commitments. And so year after year went by. We still kept in touch. And then finally the timing came, and she said, I've got a perfect project for you. I've got a book with Michael Chabon. You could illustrate it. He's a big name. This would be good for kind of getting you on the playing field. And the timing was just right. And so I was able to take that job then. Okay, so that's it. Skills, connections, timing. Those are the three factors into getting all the work that you can handle. Having the right skills, being connected, and having the right timing. I want to talk a little bit, just close this with connections. And that is, especially on the lateral level, your connections have to be genuine. People are hyper aware of others using people as stepping stools. They know when connections aren't genuine. And so on that lateral level, you want to connect with people that you actually have, that you can have a relationship, that you can have a friendship with, and that you're seen as someone who genuinely appreciates that relationship and not just using it as a stepping stool. The other levels, the base level, the executive level, it has to be genuine in that realm. So students and fans don't want to feel like they're being used, and people who are in a position to hire don't want to feel like you're schmoozing them just so you can get a job. There has to be you just have to be genuine. And so that is my one advice there with connections, is be real. And I think that's it for this drawing as well. It looks wonky to me, so I'm going to fix it in Photoshop. So sit tight and let's do some Photoshoppery on it. Okay, so like I said, it looks a little bit wonky. My perspective's off, so I scanned it and I brought it into Photoshop, and I'm gonna fix this thing in Photoshop. And well, I already did fix it in Photoshop. I'm just gonna show you what I did. If I turn on the layer, you could see how much better it looks. This is the old one, this is the new one. All the perspective lines are going on there. And basically what I did was I made a new layer and went in with the tool, what's it called, the transform tool, and just sort of adjusted things. I can actually you know what, I'll just show you. I'll just do another one. Let's do like this. This whole section's a little weird. We're just gonna click distort and bring it down and have it line up with everything. And there it is. And then you just go in and cover up this stuff. And so I did that, fixed that one too. And then I realized the problem I was having with drawing it before is this wing. I felt like I should see it on this side, but because the nose was up too far, it was obscuring this wing. And so when I brought it down, then I could, I had room for that other wing. So I went in and sort of sketched my line there, and then drew the new ink line in Photoshop, the new other side of the wing, and then added my coloring to it. And now I have my finished X-wing. I actually really like how it turned out. Alright, that's it for today's video. I just want to say thanks to everyone who's been leaving comments on the videos. If you have anything else you want to add to this, to what I talked about today, I am all open. I love the insights you guys sort of bring to the things that I've been talking about. Every time I read the comments, there's always something new, some angle that I haven't seen that kind of opens it up a little bit more for me. Also, subscribers. I just passed the 10,000 subscriber mark. I just want to thank everyone who's come around, and I can't believe, since I started doing these videos, that there'd be that many people really into it. So I appreciate that. If you haven't clicked subscribe, go for it. These videos are, if you like what you've seen so far, you're going to like what I'm going to keep doing. So there's that. If you've already subscribed, I appreciate you guys sharing them, telling people about them. That's awesome. And I think that's it.